And syndicated radio talk show host and Fox News contributor Meghan McCain. Meghan, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Hillary Clinton suddenly takes the gloves off, goes directly at Trump. What's the strategy here?
She lost 10 points in a week. She's getting desperate. It's really good political theater. That seems to be working for Donald Trump. And the optics of stopping by the Trump Hotel on the Strip before you enter the debate is good. We're talking about it this morning. But she's running scared right now. She lost 10 points in a week. She's down 30 points with women since July. Those are big numbers. That's a big demographic she should be having. And, she's a little desperate. I love watching Hillary running scared. Nothing makes me happier.
It's just all nothing makes her. It's just all about the untrustworthiness, the scandals around her.
Yeah, it's about the untrustworthiness, her likability. She's been around for 20-something years. People know who she is. There's almost no one you poll that doesn't know her name. And her untrustworthiness with battleground voters is at 60%. 60% of battleground voters don't trust you and don't like you. That's a big problem. I love it all day, every day.
Why do you love it? I mean, it's interesting that you would say that.
Because I'm a Republican.
Yeah, but
I want her to lose because I want a Republican in the White House, and I would like America to turn around right now.
That being said, you think that you would rather a Bernie Sanders get the nomination
No.
because it would be easier to win?
I do. I never thought you were going to say White House. Of course, Bernie Sanders, we could beat him like a drum. I think once people find out that Stalinist socialism maybe isn't something America can continue on. His problem tonight is he has to show that he's someone that can go outside of hipster Brooklyn and circles and places I don't hang out and actually be a formidable candidate mainstream-wise. He also has to look not boring, and he can't come off yelling like he does in a lot of stump speeches. Jim Webb might be the person to really watch tonight. He has a really amazing record in the military. His children were in the military, used to be the Secretary of the Navy. It'll be interesting to see. I actually am happy, if nothing else tonight, than to see a candidate that has military service. There's only one left on the Republican side, Senator Lindsey Graham, and at least it's a different perspective. But he was against the Iraq War, and he doesn't have the same kind of ideals I do.
He's going nowhere in the polls right now, right? It seems
nowhere.
like military service isn't an issue this time around.
Like Carly Fiorina, he could come out swinging and get a little bit of attention, but I think the average American doesn't know the difference between Lincoln Chafee and Jim Webb, and that's obviously a problem.
How about the Bernie Sanders anger? It seems like anger and resentment is such a big part of the campaign this year. Do you think that's going to resonate?
I think anger is a big problem. I think Bernie Sanders tells people what they want to hear, and I'd love to live in a utopian society where we can just give free everything to everyone all the time. But I think once people really get down to the nitty-gritty of Bernie Sanders, he does really well on T-shirts. I used to live in Los Angeles. I just moved here. A lot of hipsters at cocktail parties like talking about Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, if you're into artisanal bacon and mustache wax, you're going to be into Bernie Sanders.
No, but I think what gets him attention is when he attacks Wall Street and attacks corporate America, and I think that resonates with a lot of people.
He does really poorly with minorities, though, really poorly, and that's something Hillary Clinton has been attacking him on a lot, and I'm sure we'll see this evening. And you can't become president of the United States without any minorities voting for you.
What about the reports that billionaire executive Sheldon Adelson is now leaning toward backing Marco Rubio at this point? Does that surprise you?
It's a big win for him. I mean, Sheldon Adelson has a lot of money in those casinos in Las Vegas. I think Marco Rubio is going to be the one ultimately to possibly get the nomination, but definitely going to be the one that's coming up right now. And he's our most formidable candidate against Hillary Clinton.
What about Vice President Biden? Does he make it? I mean, it's so funny that CNN is holding the podium for him just in case.
Yeah, I mean, CNN can't.
He's not going to just show up, guys.
Other than it's on a bad network, CNN can't expect great debates, great ratings tonight. And I think maybe they'll show the podium off to the side. I actually think it would look really tacky if Joe Biden came in tonight like Superman.
I think he's waiting
He's
until
not
after
going to
the
do that.
debate.
Why would he do that?
To see,
How does Hillary feel about
I think that
them?
he's waiting until after the debate to see how badly
I think you're right.
before he decides. By the way, lead story in page 6 today in the New York Post, Biden. It's about Biden staffers on hold. They're waiting on the sidelines, waiting for him to make a call, and they know nothing. That's how that's how big that story has gotten. That it's in the
I think no one loves you more than right before you run, and I think he's had a lot of interesting publicity. Obviously, the unfortunate death of his son. Even my cold dark heart was a little warmed by the story about his son wanting him to run on his deathbed, his final wish. But he's still crazy Uncle Joe. I still think once you get him up in prime time, he's going to start doing the same gaffes he did in 2008. And I don't think it's his time. I think it's a nice thing for us to talk about in the morning, but I don't see him coming.
I don't care about the gaffes as much as I care about the fact that he has to prove that this is not a third Obama term. I mean, he's Obama's vice president. So how does he separate himself from the president and his poor policies.
But very often that's what gets a vice president the presidency. The first George Bush ran on Ronald Reagan's coattails.
They don't think anything's wrong with the country or the economy, so he might be running on fantasy.
Well, you're right. Did you see the Steve Croft interview on 60 Minutes?
5%. Can he run on that?
What's more interesting is President Obama just throwing Hillary Clinton under the bus like he did in the 60 Minutes interview, and if he aligns with Joe Biden, how dirty it's going to get between the Clintons and the Obamas. Total side note, Jim Webb is an erotic writer. I hope somebody asks him a question about his history doing that at the debate, just so it's a little more interesting.
And
tonight.
I hope Martin O'Malley does push-ups.
Wait.
He writes erotic novella. I assume things like 50 Shades of Grey. I haven't read it myself, but
he writes erotic novellas.
Yes.
Jim Webb.
Yes.
Under his own name, or is he like, Charlotte?
Yes, bedtime reading. I hope it's brought up tonight during the debate, just because it'll be entertaining.
Yeah, you know what I want to know? What are you drinking during the debate, Meghan?
I can't drink because I got to take notes and talk about it for work. I really am staying awake during this one's going to be hard. I'm really bored by all these candidates. This is the whitest field. I just read a tweet since 1992. You want to talk about like flipping the narrative between Republicans and Democrats? We have an amazingly diverse field. It's a lot of old white people, a lot of establishment candidates, and it's really, really boring, which I know it shouldn't all be about just Trump and entertainment, but American public has to be a little entertained. They have to be interested. And again, watching Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton fight it out who can be more left is not my idea of a good night.
I wonder if we're going to get
for House Speaker.
Oh, gosh, this is such a hard question. I mean, Paul Ryan, maybe if he gets in, I know people think he's maybe not conservative enough, but I want to wait and see. I really love Trey Gowdy, but everyone keeps saying they don't want to do it. I don't know. That's the $64,000 question right now.
Tough job. Meghan, thank you.
Thank you.
Meghan McCain this morning. Stock alert.